All right, let's talk about that dreaded check engine light. We've all been there, right? It's a universal sign of a headache on the horizon, but it really doesn't have to be a total mystery. Today, we're going to decode one of the most common codes for you Jeep owners out there, P0430. And by the time we're done, you'll know exactly what it means and, more importantly, what you need to do about it.
Yep, that one. That little glowing engine symbol that just pops up on your dash, and instantly your stomach drops. If you're here, chances are you've seen it, you've gotten the code, and now you're wondering what comes next.
P0430. I mean, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But it's actually a really specific message coming straight from your Jeep's computer. Stick with me because we're going to translate that message into plain English so you know exactly what's going on under the hood.
So here's our game plan. First, what is this code? Then, we'll play detective and figure out how to diagnose the real issue. After that, we'll talk about fixing it the right way, preventing it from happening again, and finally, we'll wrap up with the one thing you absolutely can't forget. All right, first things first. What in the world is this code that your Jeep is throwing at you?
Okay, so the textbook definition says it's a generic code, which just means it's not exclusive to Jeeps. You'll see it on a lot of cars. And it basically means your catalytic converter's efficiency has dropped below where it's supposed to be. It's a warning flag, plain and simple.
But what does that really mean? Well, think of it this way. Your catalytic converter is kind of like the lungs for your car's exhaust. Its whole job is to clean up all the nasty stuff before it gets pumped out into the air. So this code, it's basically your car waving a little flag and saying, hey, my lungs are having a tough time breathing right now.
And why should you care? Well, this thing is a super important part of your emission system. It literally takes all these harmful gases from your engine and poof, turns them into stuff that's way less nasty. When it's on the fritz, your emissions go through the roof. And that's not just bad for your next inspection or the planet, it can actually snowball into other, bigger engine troubles.
Okay, so we know what the code means, but the big question is why it's happening. And this, my friends, is where we put on our detective hats and start looking for clues.
Now, a real pro isn't just going to see that code and immediately start swapping out expensive parts. No way. They're going to do two key things. First, they'll plug in a fancy scan tool and read all the live data coming from your car's brain. It gives them the inside scoop. Then, they get their hands dirty with a good old-fashioned physical inspection of everything. It's that combo, the digital and the physical, that really nails down the problem.
So you might be thinking, okay, easy. It's a catalytic converter code, so I just need a new catalytic converter, right? Well, not so fast. And this is the most important thing to get. That code, it's just a clue. It's a symptom, not the actual disease. The real villain of the story could be something totally different. Maybe it's a bad oxygen sensor, or your engine is misfiring, or you've got a simple vacuum leak somewhere. And that is exactly why you can't just throw parts at it. You have to find the real problem first.
Okay, so now that we know we're hunting for clues, how do we actually go about fixing this thing the right way? You've basically got two paths here. There's the quick fix, which is usually just slapping a new converter on there and calling it a day. But trust me, if you do that without finding the root cause, that check engine light is going to be back to haunt you before you know it. The right fix, the smart fix, is to tackle the actual problem. It'll save you a ton of money and frustration down the road.
So what does that right fix look like? Well, it totally depends on what the detective work uncovers. It might be something simple, like a new oxygen sensor or patching up a tiny leak. Or, it could be tracking down an engine misfire. And sometimes, the converter is the problem. The main thing is you let the diagnosis lead the way, not just the code.
All right, let's say you've got it fixed. The light is off, you're breathing a sigh of relief. Now, how do you make sure this doesn't happen all over again? Let's talk about playing some good defense. Keeping that light off is all about being proactive. It's really a three-step thing. 1, make sure everything that was found in the diagnosis got fixed. No cutting corners. 2, have your mechanic do a quick once-over for any other little things that might be hiding. And 3, the big one, just stay on top of your regular maintenance.
And here's a super simple checklist for you. Take a look at your air filter. Is it dirty and clogged? That can totally mess with things and hurt the converter. What about your spark plugs? If they're old and worn, they can cause misfires, which, you guessed it, damages the converter. Taking care of these basic items is one of the best ways to protect your whole system and keep that code from ever showing its face again.
So let's bring this all home. What's the one big thing you need to remember? Why is it so important not to just ignore this code?
The bottom line is this. Code P0430 is something you have to deal with, and you have to deal with it fast.
This isn't just about an annoying light or an emissions test, it's about the health and safety of your vehicle. Letting this go can cause a cascade of other problems that are way, way more expensive to fix later on.
So I'll leave you with this thought. That light on your dash, it's not just an inconvenience. It's your Jeep literally trying to talk to you about its health. Now you understand the language. The only question is, what are you going to do now that you know?